Hello everyone and welcome back to the Innocent Until Proven Guilty Court. December's here and Christmas is just around the corner. As a retro gamer and fan of the Angry Video Game Nerd, when I think of Christmas, I think of the Bible games from Wisdom Tree. After all, the first AVGN episode that I saw was the first Bible games review. Watching it instantly brought back memories of a blue cartridge that my cousins owned, which I later discovered to be one of the Wisdom Tree titles. Since that video and its topic sparked the interest that would ultimately lead me to where I am today, I decided, in homage to Mr. Rolfe, to do my own Wisdom Tree reviews in time for Christmas. First up on the menu is Bible Buffet. Bible Buffet was released very late in the NES lifespan in 1993. Bible Buffet is most certainly the odd duck out among the already strange Wisdom Tree catalog. Bible Buffet is basically a video board game. 1 to 4 players can participate in the action, each having the ability to enter their own name. Since I was playing by myself, I went with my various monikers. Oh, and also, good old creepy as hell Zebediah Pong from Totally Rad. Can I play? No, Jake, all 4 players are selected. Come on. You know this needs some gnarly potential, and I'm just the dude to bring it. I said no, Jake. All of the player slots are filled, so get out of here. Man, I'm gonna go tell on you to the gnarliest professor on the coast. Go ahead, I don't care. And would you please stop saying gnarly all the damn time? It gets so annoying. Sorry about the interruption, folks. Anyway, the first step the players have to take is to choose the question category. The options go up to 999, so apparently there are a ton of biblical-related questions contained within this cartridge. These questions pop up quite frequently and are very important, since they may help in determining the winner in a close race. However, there's one huge problem with the questions, but more on that later. Finishing the setup section brings up the layout of the board, which is divided into several food-based lands. From healthy salads and fruits to teeth-rotting candy and gut-busting fast food, the entire range of the pyramid is covered, and the smorgasbord represents the titular buffet. Potato, pizza, barbecue, dessert? Yep, seems like a typical American buffet, so props to Wisdom Tree on getting that right. In typical board game fashion, the players all start from the same point, and each player takes a spin on the wheel to see what action will occur. There are 9 spaces on the spinner, and again like most board games, the outcomes can be positive or negative for the contestant. Landing on any of the numbers from 1 to 6 will make the player move that many spots. The happy and sad faces, unlike the numbers, have multiple outcomes. Landing on the smiley rewards the player with a key to open one of the locked doors, a health holder, which increases the total life meter, and best of all, the ability to move 10 spaces forward. The frown, on the other hand, penalizes the contestants. The minimum penalty is the loss of a turn, but the player can also be forced back a number of spots as well as losing the turn. Not cool, man. Not cool. The final option on the wheel looks like a book, and this is where the question category from the setup portion comes into effect. These pop quizzes are comprised of 3 questions, and tackle such hard-hitting subject matter as... Now this is the problem I was referring to earlier. There are no questions in the game. Well, to be more accurate, there are questions, but there's no way of figuring out what they are within the game itself. Now, I have a box copy of Bible Buffet, so you think I'd be able to ace the pop quizzes, right? Wrong. The questions aren't located in the manual. They're actually located in their own separate quiz book, which unfortunately for me was not included in my copy. I have seen that Nintendo Age offers scans of the quiz book, which doesn't surprise me at all since Nintendo Age rocks, but why couldn't Wisdom Tree just include the questions on the screen itself? There are blank lines above every answer field. Why couldn't they put the questions in that blank space? It doesn't make any sense to me. If they were just going to have the players refer to a quiz book for the questions, then they shouldn't have included this feature in the first place. Pop quiz failure aside, a typical Bible Buffet playthrough is pretty standard stuff. If one of the numbers is landed upon during a spin, the character will move that many spots. If they land on one of the action squares, the setting will transition to a top-down Zelda-esque portion where our avatars will become food fighters. Depending on which land was entered, the enemies will be based upon that food type. For example, Veggie Land will produce a bunch of hostile tomatoes, and Freezer Land will unleash a pack of frosty ice cream cones. My favorites are the pieces of toast in Bread Land that play catch with a rather sharp-looking butter knife. Beneath their friendly smiles lies the heart of a stone-cold killer. Avoid them at all cost, or you'll be what's for breakfast. The goal of each segment is to simply make it to the exit in order to get back to the board.
Player 2.
However, the hordes of foodstuffs make this much easier said than done. As a result, our hero has to engage in culinary combat and dispatch the aforementioned menace with the help of their trusty utensils. The spoon is the default weapon, which is controlled by A, and it's rather puny. The fork and knife power-ups that are picked up in later stages, which are accessed by hitting select, greatly even the playing field. In addition to the utensils, the B button produces a barrel-looking explosive device called the Preservative Blast. The blast can clear out obstacles that block the path to the goal, as well as taking out more powerful foes. Once a food item has been slayed, make sure to collect them quickly, otherwise they'll revive and start attacking again. In addition to the fighting food, there are also tons of non-violent foods that are located around each stage. The number of food items collected, both of the walking and stationary variety, is important, as like the pop quiz, the totals help determine which player is the winner. This may seem like an easy task, and it definitely starts off relatively challenge-free, but getting through some of the later stages can be quite a hassle. Fortunately, even if you die, there are unlimited lives since the game goes until everyone has crossed the finish line. So it's only a matter of time and patience until the character clears a particular section, and then it's time to spin again to move to the next area. That's mostly all there is to Bible Buffet. Spin, clear the area, move on to the next player. Spin, clear, next player. Rinse and repeat. There are extra variables tossed into the mix that affect the progression towards the goal. Some are beneficial, some are hair-pullingly aggravating. The spots labeled with question marks are the bonus squares. These will dish out rewards such as keys, extra hearts, or most importantly, the ability to move ahead 1 to 4 spaces. The longer that a session becomes, the more these become a godsend. Always, and I mean always, go with the 4 spaces. As my time spent with it grew longer and longer, I became so grateful for any bit of extra movement I could get, especially since there are squares that can send the player back to an earlier spot on the board. There are 2 spots on the board where 2 segments are connected by a dotted line. This is called the backtrack, since landing on it sends the playing token back across the dotted line to the earlier segment. This can be a huge source of frustration, especially when you just want the game to end. But the same spot also functions as a shortcut to advance closer to the goal. Basically, it's a blessing and a curse. Inevitably, it's going to be landed on, but just pray that the result is for the best. The only other space that hasn't been addressed is the free square, where the contestant gets an extra spin. Eventually, after countless bouts of food fighting and pop quizzes, one of the playing tokens will cross the finish line. That's the game, right? Nope. All of the tokens have to enter the finishing circle before the awards are dished out. See, even if someone gets to the goal first, one of the later contestants could still win the big prize if they collect more food items or answer more questions correctly. I suppose this is all well and good in a real 4-player match, but with my only adversary being myself, it got incredibly tedious. I don't know if this is any indication of a typical Bible Buffet session, but for me to clear the board with all 4 tokens took 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours! I could get both endings of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in that time. I could probably beat Back to the Future 4 times during that same session. 2.5 hours is about the length of a Mario Party match, but the difference between the two games is that Mario Party stays fun. Bible Buffet is way too long for its own good, but does that make it a bad game? Let's find out in the breakdown! Video board games are usually shallow experiences, and Bible Buffet is no exception. I suppose my experience was largely negative since I played it by myself, but I can't imagine there being a ton of fun even with a group of friends to play with. If I could sum up Bible Buffet in 2 words, they would be tedious and repetitive. The action segments feel largely the same, and since they get pretty tough near the end, playing for the same segment over and over becomes a real chore. It's true that the backtracking and loss of turns is standard Milton Bradley fare, and it may be tolerable for a group of friends, but in my personal experience, they were way more aggravating than the barrels in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The biggest offender of all is, of course, the pop quizzes. Either include the questions on the card itself, or don't include them at all. I guess the main thing I can say about Bible Buffet is to not play it alone. It might be fun to play it under the influence with some buddies, but the fun lasts for all of about 10 minutes when you're alone and sober. Plus, there are no great tunes to make up for the lackluster gameplay. I mean, when the Saints go marching in? Really, Wisdom Tree? Really? Stay away from Bible Buffet. Bible Buffet as a concept is excellent. A food-based adventure with multiple lands including actual killer tomatoes and terrorist toast? What's not to love about that? The action segments especially are really cool. I dig that the character fights living food items with utensils. On top of that, it has some of the best voice samples to be found on the NES. With that said though, the novelty wears thin quickly, and I hate to say it, but I agree with a lot of the guilty points. Bible Buffet really is great in concept, and it's fun to play for a little bit, but it wears out its welcome quickly. I'm trying to come up with redeeming qualities for Bible Buffet, but I'm just grasping at straws at this point. I've got nothing else to say. Cut to the verdict because I'm done. In the case of Bible Buffet, I deem that the verdict is guilty. But only of a misdemeanor. Bible Buffet's greatest crime is being tedious and too time-consuming. But that doesn't mean it's a horrible game. Under the right circumstances and with the right group of people, it could be a blast. But in my personal experience, I've had much more fun playing Action 52. I'm glad the game exists and I love its box art, but it's no more than a novelty. There's very little substance and minimal fun for me to be had with this game, so I can't really recommend spending the money to pick it up. Now, with the first monumental guilty verdict issued and another case closed, court is now adjourned.
Hey everybody, it's Jake from Totally Rad! Yeah, that's me! I'm here talking on behalf of Cygnus. He's a pretty good guy, so I'm gonna talk to you on behalf of him. If you like what you saw in the video, well, you got a couple other videos to check out. You got the Totally Rad review, the game that I'm in, the game that I'm the star of. You can check that out by clicking on the left there, the upper left. On the right, it's in my second appearance in the Cygnus videos, the Monster in My Pocket video. That's the one where he rubbed me up a little bit, but that's okay, because, well, I was being a bit of a tool. But that's how Jake is. Jake has all about the gnarly potential, and I live up to it every day. Yeah, gnarly potential. And then on the bottom, that's his 2-year anniversary video. That's Cygnus' 2-year anniversary video. So if you want to watch any of these videos, you can watch them. They're pretty cool. They got some gnarly potential in them. That's Jake knows gnarly potential, and there's some gnarly potential here. Also, click that red button there. If you like what you see, you can subscribe to this here channel for more Totally Rad content. Alright everybody, thanks for watching. Jake out!